Welcome, kings and queens, to another episode of Unapologetic, your number one podcast. This is the show where kings and queens tell their legacies and on. So get ready for the gems to drop and pull up to the table because we're ready. Welcome back, my people. We are back with another great episode of Unapologetic, your number one podcast. It's your favorite host, Melly Mel, aka Mr. Unapologetic, here in the building with you. Today, we have a very special guest. We've been trying to set this up for quite some time, but she finally made time for us, man. So we got to give her a round of applause. Can you please give a hand for Miss Andrea Copeland, ladies and gentlemen? She's in the building and she unapologetic with it. How you doing today?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Oh man, it's been a long day today. We had a long day today, but we still moving, you know, nothing stops. Nothing stops.
There you go.
But you have done so much in the past 3 years since the pandemic actually hit in the States. And I was just reading one of your little posts on LinkedIn about like, could you ever imagine somebody telling you that you will have a business as 3 years passed during the pandemic? And I'm like, wow, I thought to myself that same question, like, nah. Right. I would have laughed at you and be like, nah, I don't want the headache. But now that I'm in this position, now that you're in this position, can you give us a little bit of what you do, what's your business, and how did it come to this overall Miss Copeland's consulting firm or agency, as whatever you want to call
it? So my background is actually in social work. So I went to Ferris State University and I got my bachelor's in social work in 2013. And so for the first 7 to 8 years of my career, it was rooted in a variation of crisis management, social services, child welfare programs. And it's funny because when I made that post, I chuckled at myself because I had tunnel vision for that entire time that I was working. Like, I was like, you know what? I'm here for the kids and I will be working in this field until I retire because, you know, that was my focus. And so over the course of the pandemic, it really forced me to re-examine, number one, what my plans were for myself and my career, but also having to re-examine where are my strengths truly and what is it that I like about my work that brings me joy. And so, but also, you know, and being completely transparent, you know, recognizing as a Black professional that the areas of strength that I have unfortunately cause a lot of discomfort in the wrong places and in the wrong settings. And so for me, I am very good at, you know, identifying, assessing a program, you know, an organization, identifying the areas of strengths that are really good, and then areas that need attention or need support, and then identifying solutions or, you know, action steps to try to rectify, you know, those challenges. But, you know, in the wrong spaces and in the wrong places, that, you know, induces a lot of discomfort for people. You know, because you're calling attention to deficiencies within a program, or calling deficiencies, you know, calling out the areas that they haven't been able to fix on their own. And so, you know, instead of staying in those places where I was made to feel small or made to feel as if, you know, that gift was something inherently wrong, I decided to turn it into a business. And so that's where, you know, Historia was kind of birthed from. And so My company is designed essentially to walk alongside nonprofits and programs that really want to create, you know, operations from a vision or from an idea. And so what I enjoy is being able to sit down with someone to talk through, okay, this is what I want to do. This is my idea. This is my vision. And then take it from a concept, you know, get you formed, get you funded, and then get you operational. And, you know,
So
that's
you
essentially what
bring dreams to life.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's,
you bring, yeah. I mean,
yeah,
because it
yeah,
it always starts with an idea. It always starts with somewhere up here, you know, or in here as a passion.
yeah,
But to have somebody that comes to you that already has their platform established to say that, well, my platform is here to make yours come true.
yes,
So
exactly.
it's almost like a fairy tale, you know, so to speak, in the business realm, the
Mm,
professional realm. That's how I see it. That's how I, you know, how you described it. That's
yeah,
the delivery that I got from it. And that's a really big thing. And actually I feel like that is more connecting, more, how can I put it in a better word? Uh Relevant to what how today is, especially now of social media and the internet. You know, people can create. I can make myself look like an Incredible Hulk, you know, from my phone nowadays.
yeah,
So
yeah,
so to have that sort of platform and idea on a scale where I can get my 503(c) and create helping animals or create helping people who are from different countries and foreigners to help them get established in, you know, America or wherever they may go. That is huge. You know, you don't really hear companies stating putting it the way that you do.
hmm,
It's more of a, well, I can do this and this and this for you, but I need this and this money. You feel they always put
yeah,
that right
yeah,
after they, you know,
yep,
they tell you they can help you. But
hmm,
that's not what I get from a historian when you explain it, when you talk about it. It sounds so you sound so passionate about it that it makes me want to just sit down just to hear, all right, what all do you do? Even though I
yeah,
know what I need, but what all do you offer to the people? What all can you, you know, subsequently help me with? Do
yeah.
you get that a lot with clients?
Yes, because I think it's what are you saying, Andrea? Yes, the thing about what it is that I do that I think is different than the response that you described is that, you know, my focus, I work with all organizations, but I I think it's important to amplify opportunity and also to coach minority led organizations because the challenges are just they're just different. And
Yeah,
so, you know, for me,
true.
because I come from a social work background, I don't look at, you know, the person that I'm working with or the organization that I'm working with, you know, solely focusing on their output or what they're trying to create. I look at it holistically. So, you know, I know that you have this vision, you're dedicated to what you want to do, you're really excited about it, and that's great.
Right.
But are you ready for this? You know,
Mm,
are you prepared for, you know, the spaces that you want to tap into? You know, what is your awareness of, you know, fundraising? Have you ever created, you know, your own LLC, or have you ever applied for a 501(c)(3)? Do you know what a grant is? Do you know what an operational budget is? And if not, you know, helping to kind of walk alongside them to do that. So it's a combination of, you know, consulting and educating, but it's also coaching in a lot of ways as well, because especially for, you know, Black and brown professionals, we often do not have the same exposure to technical information
that's
on the
true.
back end when it comes to, you know, operational things. So,
Right,
you
right.
know, I can, you know, case manage in my sleep, or, you know, as a social worker, I can identify, you know,
Wow.
needs and fans and cans and do all that jazz. But, you know, having a conversation about, you know, managing and creating an operational budget. that may be a challenge, and that's okay. It's not impossible, but being able to, have those conversations. But the way that I try to take it a step further, because for me, there's a certain level of awareness that I need to walk with, or I need to operate in when I work with these organizations that are minority led, because I am acutely aware of perception. So ultimately, with whatever it is that we want to create and put it into the market, you have to understand that you are competing against all of these other organizations or all these other businesses that are trying to be successful in the exact same way. There's nothing wrong with competition, right? I mean, I think it's healthy, and also it's important for accountability within the market, but understanding how you will be perceived as you walk into that room and before you walk into that room is important. So, let's prepare you. Let's prepare your website. Let's prepare your branding, your elevator pitch, your materials, so that, I set you up for success. Because our ability to fundraise and to be successful is a little more of a challenge for us institutionally. So, yeah. So for me, I recognize that there are meetings where we schedule to talk about grant writing, or we schedule to talk about, funding development, but we actually expand that into a conversation around branding or operational strategy, or just creating systems that will make your work efficient, so that we can make sure that you're successful. So I think the other part of it too is, I think it's important, especially as Black professionals, for us to make sure that our time is valuable, but at the same time, I don't gatekeep. So I'm open to having discussions around strategy, or just brainstorming solutions that may work for you, whether we're contracted or not, because again, I want to see you successful. Whether you work with me or you decide to venture out on this on your own, I want to see whatever this idea is that you're on fire about actually come into existence. And so I think that's a different than what I offer. So
that you you on a whole different pedestal how you just put that, because what we see nowadays, or what I see, I can speak for myself, what I see is it's a lot of crab in a barrel mindset. Everywhere you go, you're always going to have that type of thing going on in your environment or wherever you are. But it's almost like it took over, because everybody, like you said, everybody wants to be at the top. Competition is great. However, it's enough out there that we can actually help each other build and still be competitive with each other. And it's you don't hear that too often. Actually, I don't even hear it at all nowadays. Not even from my mentors, the people who have done it longer than we have. And so when I hear that from a young Black professional, especially like yourself, it's like, wow, she's ahead of her time. You need to be in a different position than where you are, a big, broader position. And just to say that, to put it like, to help teach others to be more open-minded, because there is too many gatekeepers in the business realm, not just from professionals, but locally. We need our people to help support our business to become successful. But we have locals and a group of individuals who will put negative things in the air, or try to throw you off the red trail that you have put yourself on, just so another individual that they like more, or they're into a little bit deeper, to have that ledge, that push, which is, you do what you do. But I believe in karma, so everything that happens always comes back and bites you. But so I kind of leave that alone with God and nature on that one. But for you, it's almost as if that became a part of your business outline, your brand. and it's unheard. It's not unheard of, but it's, to me, it's rare to hear that a part of a business nowadays because of what all we endure. And so my question is, how are you taking these lessons that you have learned between networking with other businesses and organizations and applying that to what your platform is now to make it even, better?
Oh, that's a good question. For myself, I think the way that I've taken that and decided to run with it is to use that mindset and that perspective to drive innovation in areas where it isn't already being applied. And so, for example, for myself, my client roster in terms of the organizations that I work with are spread out across the US. They're not just in one central location. And so the thing that I love about the work that I do both in person and also remotely is that I can look at the work that I'm doing with one organization, but also look at the layout for that local geographic area and say, okay, these are the things that I'm noticing that are similar, with other geographic areas of other clients. What are some really good programs, systems, initiatives that are happening that are really fruitful, that we can replicate, or that we can take and potentially plant in other places? And so that's actually what has led me into my most recent project that I'm bringing hopefully to West Michigan soon. And so it's really about understanding, because that's the nice thing about working with the orgs that I do, across state lines.
Right.
For me, recognizing that the challenges that we're facing or the solutions that we're driving and the populations that we're serving are very similar. People are people, ultimately. The zip codes are different, right? And there might be nuances in the specific needs that you're trying to address, but it's really exciting when you can take a concept and be able to say, we have a case study for how this was applied, how it was successful, and the fruit that we were able to cultivate here. Let's see how this could potentially be applied in our own backyard, and then learn as you create those solutions. And so for me, I think that's been another challenge that
it sounds like it.
Yeah, well, I mean, the cool thing about this, going back to what I said earlier about strengths, invoking tension and others.
Of course.
For me, the ability to identify solutions has always, or just trying to identify solutions, has always been a strong suit for me. And so in places where they're just like, oh, that's not going to work, or, well, we have to figure it out. For me, it's like, well, but why? Why do we have to accept this? Why is it that we can't look for something creative or something bringing in fresh wind to address something that, we're not happy about or that we would like to change? So for me, I don't like to accept those answers. I'm going to look to try to find something that we can apply here that will, make things better for the group that I'm working with. And so that is exciting because, you're able to, just be creative in a way that will benefit the population that you're trying to serve. So,
and I never really thought about that either. Like a case study on this particular geographic area with this particular organization, with specifically what they do. Excuse me, tongue tied right with that. Specifically what they do, into a case study to fall back on to say, this is what I did previously. That I don't hear that at all. Actually, only time I hear something like that is like judicial. People go to court, or anything that deals with some type of law. But to hear it on a consultant type of level, it's almost like you took, like you just put, like different parts of whoever you work with, organizations and businesses, and like created your own way of filing and keeping up records, so to speak, with not only the businesses but geographically, to help produce a better business, a better environment as well for the local. So you're not just benefiting the business, but you're also benefiting the people. That's a 2-in-1 right there. That's dope. That's incredible because it makes you think. Because a lot of times we are creatures of habit. We like what we like when we like it. So it is uncomfortable for us, especially for people who are in the business spectrum, who are in control. They used to telling people, "Hey, I want this done, this done, this done, make it happen." So when you come along and tell them that, "Hey, this is not going to work. It has not worked for you since you began." So instead of you constantly doing the same thing and hoping for different results, aka insanity, you sit down with me and let's work this out.
Yeah.
And you present it in a way where you're not serving it, with a base like a fastball, like boom, this is what you need. You're actually sit down and like giving it to them as a dinner or as a recipe, like just read this over and then come and talk to me. I like your approach because a lot of times you meet individuals who do what you do and they are so adamant on doing things, trying to force that individual to see it their way instead of molding them and coping with them to, guide them to this better step. Because like any other person, everybody learns different.
Right.
So you got what 20 to 30 people that you're trying to consult with, it becomes a headache. I feel like what is that sometimes what you like have to walk out and like, okay, I got to revamp this because they're not catching it at this way. So do you constantly have to, switch up your strategy?
I think in order in examining my own journey related to my business and also recognizing the type of work that I do, I think self-awareness is key. Number one, and your ability to do your work well. But taking that a step further, your ability to take ego and put that aside in order to meet the needs of your business is going to be important. So for me, I am, I think well, for me, I am in the context of being creative or trying to find creative solutions for the clients that I work with. I try to take advantage of that as much as possible because there's so many different ways that a solution can manifest for an organization, right? So like what works, for one org, based in West Michigan, as opposed to an organization based out of Atlanta, it may or may not be the same. It may not be different depending on the geographic location, right? So for me, as long as we are able to meet the end goal, what does that look like? And, coming up with several different scenarios of how you can apply a program or how you can apply, a solution within that organization or, applying funding. Once you receive those grant awards, that is what gets me excited because, you can replicate what this other organization did, or you can put your own spin on it and, take it and run with it. And so I think you miss a lot of opportunity if you are stuck in, well, you need to take what I'm doing as gospel and there are no other solutions that will be beneficial for you. You limit yourself and also your audience because everybody works differently. So I think for me, being able to take multiple steps back to assess the needs of an organization is important, but also separating, what I believe is the best course of action as opposed to what is going to work for them in order to keep the momentum going, so that they can, continue to operate. That is really what my focus is. And I think that's why I'm able to work with people in the way that I do, because I don't think that there's any one right answer. It's whatever is going to be the right answer for your team. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. And do you do all this yourself? Because this is, I have to, it's like 3 of you. You must have cloned yourself.
No. No, I mean,
Jeez.
I live off of Starbucks the majority of the time, for sanity purposes. But I also have my business partner, Miss Natasha Berryman. She does a lot of the back end work.
Okay.
So
Okay.
so I do a lot of the introductory meetings and things like that. But it's a team effort.
Of course. Okay. I'm about to say, because if you do all, God, I would have had, my beard would be gray. I had gray hair by now.
Yep.
You know, it
Hmm.
because it's so many uh alleyways that you can go with each person, each
Yeah.
organization. You know, it's so many different things. So it's like you're trying to juggle your sanity and juggle business and then juggle personal time.
Yes.
And it's just overwhelming at times. You know,
Oh yeah.
I'd be wanting to just throw the laptop and just go outside and pop over a bottle of wine and just drink it out the bottle.
Which you can do as long as you get back to it, then
Right, right. I mean, yeah, of course, y'all get back to work, like that. But it, where does it seems like this is a passion.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
this passion of yours has taken you on a journey of wonders, and I say that, just not to sound like I'm reading a book or something, but it is a it's it's a really strong, you have to have a real strong mentality to accept, to hear the problems of others and organizations, and then sit down and think about strategic ways for them to be successful, to also to help you be successful.
Mhm.
So it's almost like you're trying to look left and right at the same time. And with your partner, thank you, thank God for, because I understand you got to have two, man. That's why I love my brother and what he does for, for
Yeah.
we complete each other.
Mhm.
But on that note, is what what is it that you enjoy the most out of all the work that you do?
Um, Seeing the end goal or the end result from the work that we do, and also, to be completely transparent, seeing um increased representation of Black led and Brown led organizations.
I got to
um
give you a hand for that one.
I mean, well,
Yeah.
so let me back up. So during the pandemic, one of the many, strange things that happened that, resulted in good fruit for me was I was recruited to my first board as an executive board member. And so
Mm.
the organization was called Zora's Cradle. And I actually was connected to Shamika Whiteside. She is the founder and executive director from LinkedIn. And so we had a conversation about her organization, and she has an amazing story that started off in tragedy that she was able to, transform into just some really amazing work that she's doing in Louisville. And so for me, I was excited to be a part of a team, in being able to say that, not only at one point in this community were there very significant issues related to Black maternal health that were not
Right,
being
right.
addressed, but now, as a result of my work with this team, we now have, an emergency shelter and, mental health operations for Black and Brown women who have babies or are pregnant in Louisville. Like that,
Wow.
spoke volumes to me. And that was actually part of the reason why I formed Historia, because I said, this is what gets me excited. Like the ability to sit down with a group and say, oh my goodness, we have this amazing mission or focus or project, and we
Right,
need somebody that understands the challenges that come with raising funds for these types of organizations
right.
and is willing to help us, as we navigate all these challenges. And so I think, like, once, Zora's Cradle got their 501(c)(3) and they got their first grant award, you know, Tasha and I were, celebrating,
Of
together.
course, man. That's
You know what I mean?
big.
Like, exactly. And that's my point. It's like, I think that
That's
you know,
incredible.
there are other organizations that take that lightly, I think, you know, because the struggle might not be the same. But for us,
Right.
ooh, I mean, it took,
Yeah, it's a
and
battle. It's an uphill
yeah,
battle with
exactly.
weights on.
That, yes, exactly. And so, you know, once you get that first win,
Yeah,
and you know, it propels you forward, and you're even more motivated to just keep going. And so, yeah. And so, yeah, so those big
man.
wins, whether it's a grant award or it's the launch of a new program or, you know, ribbon cuttings or things like that,
Yeah,
those are the
man,
things
that's
I get
awesome.
excited about. Yeah.
That's awesome. Shout out to oh my God, the founder of LinkedIn. Oh man, we gotta have her on the show too. That's big.
To clarify, no, she is Shamika Whiteside is the founder and executive director of Zora's Cradle.
Oh,
We found
Zora's
each
Cradle.
other, yeah, we
Okay.
found each other through LinkedIn, but
Okay. Excuse me. Excuse me. Zora's Cradle, which is still a big organization now, man.
yeah,
It's that's incredible.
yeah.
And that one story shows the passion that you have to create all of that, man. That's a headache for me. I ain't gonna stud. I'll be in there crying all that paperwork and talking and whatnot. But
Yeah.
you make it seem easy, and I thank you for your passion to create something like that because we don't hear that often, especially in the Black community. Mental health is there's no book for us to say, well, this is what we endured in the past, so this is where we say X, Y, and Z now. No,
Mhm.
everything is fresh, everything is brand new. So any person like yourself or a psychologist or wherever you may be or whatever you may do that is focused on the mental health of the Black community, I applaud you. Thank you. That's something that we desperately need.
Mhm.
And I feel like doing that will help open more doors for bigger businesses, better networking systems, because we're able to now to communicate on a professional level. Not saying that we don't already, but it would be an easier transition. I feel like to that type of realm, that type of talk. But I just recently want to ask, because you just uh went to a Sisters in Transformation Women Empowerment Conference. I was like, God, that's a long name. Like, woo. Like I had to put that like in abbreviations in my notes, but I'm like, all right, what was that all of? Well, can you describe what that entailed and why did you go?
I'm so sorry. I actually need to my calendar is bananas, so I actually need to reference the conference that you're talking about, because I feel like I've gone to a lot of events throughout the year, and so I just need to clarify. Just give me a second.
Oh no, you
Okay, so if we're talking about the same event, this would have been one that was held in Muskegon, um, with WINK, and that was the Women's Veterans Group, that's active in Muskegon County. And so that
that's a
event,
big organization, isn't it? Based in Maryland?
yeah, and they have a chapter here in Muskegon. And so the focus was highlighting women that have been active in the community and pushing forward programs related to women empowerment, but with a specific focus on the needs of women with veteran backgrounds,
Mhm.
or that are connected to a military network. And so
Wow.
I participated in that event in partnership with Henrietta Hadley, because she works with
Of
Wink
course.
directly. And so, but it was all hands on deck for me, pulling up sleeves and, putting together and, laying out, place settings and things like that. And so I served in a volunteer capacity for that event.
Oh,
And
wow. Okay.
and so it was actually a lot of fun to, just to meet with women that were active in the community and learning about what it is that they do, and also the specific needs of, women veterans in Muskegon County. And so it was a cool event. It was really, really cool, actually. I,
Wow.
I've told you, off the record, that I am an introverted extrovert. So I will get out in front of the masses when I have to, but I will never volunteer to do that unless I absolutely need to do it. And so, but in that capacity, it was different because they were just honoring women that had been active and instrumental in, the community. And so it was cool to be able to amplify those women. So,
and that's awesome because I did not know that you knew Miss Hadley. I worked with her a few times. I helped film her open up when she first started her consultation business, Infinite Solutions.
yeah,
On opening day, and she's a great person, man. I love Miss Henrietta. Shout out to Miss Henrietta, and also Miss Tracy Walls. I know the president of Wink. So it's incredible how everything goes full circle. And thank you for volunteering, because that's big, man. Our women military veterans are non hearsay. You don't hear about them,
no,
but you see them in on TV, but you read about them in books of what this woman done, what this general done, what the staff sergeant, or whatever branch they may be in, and it's almost like they've been erased from the history books. We don't really talk about supporting our women veterans, so I thank you for that. I have family that are military, especially the women in my family. So I thank you for actually all hands on deck, like you said, helping out. What did you gain from that? Experience?
In that particular event, it was I'm sorry, I'm trying to figure out the best way to phrase this. It was establishing community for myself. Because for me, I'm not from Muskegon, but I've lived in Muskegon for a very long time.
Right.
But also being able to understand or gain new awareness about, the needs of this, particular group of women, but also just the empowerment that is active within that community. Like, they rally around each other in ways that I haven't seen in a lot of groups that I've worked with in a very long time. And so that was really encouraging, to just be in the room, just to see, them uplift each other and to say, this is what we've done in the community and this is what we're excited about. And, we want to honor these women that have been active in this work. And so, it gave me goosebumps being in the room, but I was like, yeah,
I
yeah.
bet.
Oh.